Now we continue a very important discussion today. In witness of World AIDS Day, we've invited a number of experts into studio to discuss various aspects of HIV and AIDS. And we are joined, of course, by our regular Dr. Darren Green, Dr. Emil Reid, Dr. Geeta Ramji, and of course, Professor Becker. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we've got someone on the line, Bokang, joining us from Everton. A very good morning, Bokang.
How are you, sir?
I'm very good. So I understand that you have recently received some momentous news. Do you want to relate your story to us?
Yes, sir.
Go for it.
Sir.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I recently found out that I'm HIV positive, and then they advised me that I should take my ARVs immediately, and my CD4 count were 1,229. So my problem is each and every time after, like the day after taking a medication, I'm constantly experiencing headaches and dizziness. Is it one of the side effects due to the medication that I'm taking?
Professor, I can see you nodding your head there. Do you want to weigh in?
Yes, it probably is. And the drug that could commonly cause that is efavirenz, and normally, which is inside the combination pill that the caller is probably on because it's our first line agent. I strongly recommend that the caller goes to his medical practitioner, nurse or doctor or clinic, and reports the side effect, because even simply taking the pill in the evening could help that a little bit. Or there are other alternatives if he really is struggling. Please don't stop the antiretrovirals. That's the big thing. Rather go and report. There are other alternatives that we can do. And it's very important he stays on his medication. A CD4 count of 1,000 is wonderful news.
Good news,
it means that his body will fully recover, and he'll live a long and healthy life.
So there is a positive message beneath it all. Bokang, thank you so much for being brave enough to weigh in on the discussion. Hopefully that's helped you in some way, but keep in contact with your health professional, with your doctor. There is a ton of advice out there for you. Now we turn to social media. Matere Tabo, directing a question directly to you, Dr. Darren Green. Please help, Doc. Told me that my relative has got a brain encephalopathy due to uncontrolled HIV. What needs to be done? Pronunciation, please excuse. But obviously this seems to be something that is fairly common. What is the answer?
You did very well. It's brain encephalopathy, and it actually is an inflammatory condition brought about in the late stages of HIV infection. So when the viral load of HIV becomes quite high, you become susceptible to opportunistic infections, but in this case, an inflammatory condition of the brain that affects the brain tissue itself. Sure. That's the word, encephalopathy. And it often presents with things like a slightly depressed level of consciousness, seizures, mood changes, and alterations, and that kind of thing. The treatment in this case would be ARVs, obviously right at the top of the list, often associated with also looking at decreasing swelling on the brain surface with things like steroids and that kind of thing. But a very complex condition to manage and a high-risk condition.
So hopefully she is getting the advice that she needs from her health professional. We're going to stay with social media. And again, thank you so much to everyone who sent through questions and comments today. This coming from Eugene Howe. I want to know, what are the chances of an HIV vaccine going on trial here in South Africa? And with the vaccine on the cards, are we not going to end up with a super bug? Doc, do you want to weigh in?
Well, there's been a lot of news on the media yesterday about we launched the first HIV vaccine trial for South Africa, for the South African HIV virus clade yesterday. So 2 of my participants at my site in Durban were vaccinated yesterday. So the answer is yes, we are there. We're going on to do vaccine trials. And we're very hopeful that this trial will be positive, given that we're building on a trial that was positive in Thailand, and we've modified it to the South African strain. We've built on it, and we're hoping to at least get 50% efficacious result in about 2020 or 2021. So we're really there. We're doing the work to take that forward.
Certainly is a brave frontier. Now we've got another caller on the line. Anonymous joins us now. I understand you've got more of an emotional question this morning. Please weigh in. Good morning.
Good morning. I was told last night by a prospective partner that he is HIV positive. I'm currently HIV negative. So My question poses is, what other preventative resources are there available now other than a condom? Because that's not 100% safe.
100%. At that question, Emile, do you want to address that?
Yes, I think there's a few components to that. The important thing is whether the partner is actually on antiretroviral therapy or not. Because usually we use nowadays also treatment as prevention. And if you treat those individuals that are HIV positive and do have a detectable viral load with antiretroviral therapy, you can actually suppress their viral load to 0 or to below detectable rates, making the risk of transmission extremely low. And it was actually shown in studies that if your viral load is 0, that the transmission risk of HIV is 0. So that would probably be the first step, to find out whether the partner is on antiretroviral therapy or not. In the meantime, there are sort of protective measures like condoms, but we also have something called pre-exposure prophylaxis. And what we usually do is we treat those individuals that are HIV negative but are at risk to contract HIV due to various risk factors, as is the case. We actually treat them with a combination of ARVs, which is also 1 tablet a day that they have to take while being exposed, minimize their risk to very, very little.
I love the fact that that is a conversation that is being had. That is our first positive.
Agreed.
Guys, I feel like we've completely undercooked this, having such an expert panel join us this morning. But thank you so much for each of your individual efforts here in South Africa in the fight against HIV and AIDS. And what I thought was going to be a hugely negative discussion has actually shown a huge amount of positives as well. So keep fighting the good fight. And thank you so much for all of your efforts.
Thank you.
Doc, you brought some superstars with you this morning. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having us.
But it really has been a pleasure entertaining all of you. And thank you so much again to everyone who has joined us for this conversation. That has been the most positive element, is hearing how South Africans are making it an open conversation, discussing it amongst partners and discussing it with the public. We all have a role to play. We're going to take a very quick ad break. We'll see you on the other side.